welcome back to the show. Today we are looking at two pretty big moves in the crypto and finance world. One is BlackRock planning a new ETF around Hedera Hashgraph, or HBAR, and the other is MicroStrategy, now called Strategy, possibly joining the S&P 500. Sounds like a lot, right? This market is wilder than a roller coaster.
Yeah, it is a lot, but super interesting. Both stories show how digital assets are slowly moving into the mainstream. BlackRock is basically saying, we want to give investors exposure to HBAR in a simple, regulated way, without making them hold the token directly. That is a big deal, because BlackRock has huge influence in the ETF world. Knock on it, and you'll hear who's just an empty shell.
So, if I am just a regular investor, what does an HBAR ETF really mean for me? Like, why should I care about another crypto fund?
Good question. Think of an ETF like a basket that trades on the stock market. Instead of buying HBAR yourself and dealing with crypto wallets and exchanges, you just buy the ETF like you would a stock. That means it is regulated, easier to access, and safer for a lot of traditional investors. It also means more institutional money can flow in because funds and pensions are comfortable with ETFs.
Okay, so it kind of opens the door for the big players who maybe were staying out because crypto felt messy. The bananas I'm holding are more solid than your altcoins, but this ETF thing sounds pretty steady too.
Exactly. And the reaction in the market already showed that. When BlackRock announced it, HBAR jumped more than 5% in one day and trading volumes spiked. That is a sign people are betting this ETF could be a catalyst for bigger capital inflows, not just for HBAR, but also for similar blockchains in the Layer 1 category.
Layer 1. Can you break that down a bit? Sounds technical.
Sure. Think of Layer 1 as the base roads that everything else drives on in crypto. Bitcoin and Ethereum are Layer 1 networks, and Hedera Hashgraph is another one. They are the foundation. If an ETF makes one of them easier to invest in, it often lifts the entire group, because investors start looking at the whole space as more credible.
Got it. And BlackRock is timing this when regulators are still kind of on the fence, right? The SEC has delayed a lot of crypto ETF decisions before.
True. The SEC has been cautious, but the timing here is interesting. There's a major hearing on crypto market structure set for April 9, 2025. Submitting this now suggests BlackRock thinks the regulatory climate is turning more favorable. If approved, it would not just be about HBAR. It could push other asset managers to launch similar products, broadening access to digital assets. No rush. The market is like a great river, and I know how to swim.
And some analysts are already tossing around big numbers, like HBAR hitting $3.50 by the end of the year, right?
Yeah, but those are speculative. HBAR is around 24 cents right now, with a market cap of about 10 billion. So tripling or more would be huge, but it depends on regulatory approval and broader adoption. Still, history shows that when ETFs come in, they often boost liquidity and drive prices higher, because suddenly you have more buyers in a safe channel.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the other story, Strategy may be joining the S&P 500. That sounds like another level of mainstream adoption. This market really is a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, Strategy is basically MicroStrategy, but rebranded. They hold about 592,000 Bitcoin, which makes them the largest corporate holder in the world. Analysts think they have about a 91% chance of joining the S&P 500 by the second quarter of 2025. As long as Bitcoin stays relatively stable and does not fall more than 10% by June.
That is wild. So if they join, index funds would have to buy their stock, right? Which means more indirect Bitcoin exposure for a lot of people who may not even realize it.
Exactly, that is the key. Just like when Coinbase joined the S&P back in 2021, it suddenly made crypto exposure normal for big funds. Strategy being added would do the same, but with a company that is basically a massive Bitcoin vault. It would reinforce Bitcoin as part of the global financial system.
But isn't that risky? I mean, Bitcoin moves a lot. How does a company handle that on its balance sheet?
That is the debate. Unlike cash reserves, Bitcoin swings can directly impact shareholder value. It is unconventional treasury management. If Bitcoin drops, their balance sheet takes a hit. Some investors love it, some are nervous. But if Strategy does join the index, it sets a precedent. It might encourage other companies to consider digital assets in their treasury.
So on one side, we have ETFs making it easier for investors to get exposure. And on the other side, companies putting Bitcoin right into their core strategy. Feels like two different roads leading to the same place, mainstream adoption.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. One route is the financial giants like BlackRock building bridges into crypto for traditional investors. The other is companies like Strategy going all in and forcing institutions to engage with crypto through equity indexes. Both push digital assets deeper into traditional finance.
So where do you see this going? Like, what is the big picture here?
I think the big picture is integration. Crypto is no longer just a fringe experiment. With ETFs, regulatory frameworks, and corporate adoption, it is being woven into the same fabric as stocks and bonds. There are still risks, like volatility and regulation, but the momentum is strong. As Larry Fink at BlackRock said, integrating crypto into mainstream finance is not optional anymore. It is part of the trajectory.
Yeah, it does feel like a turning point. All right, that is all for today. We covered BlackRock's HBAR ETF move, strategies, possible entry into the S&P 500, and what all this means for crypto adoption. Thanks for breaking it down, and thanks to everyone listening. See you next time.